So it's about identifying products and activities and then making them what I call bite-sized chunkable, that you can identify a low entry price, a mid-entry price, and a premium price to get people engaged. So as I say, from identifying a big issue of social capital, you've then got to scale it down to sort of bite-sized chunks of what can be and how people can give you money.
Global Socialpreneurs is brought to you in part by Positive Talk Radio, KKNW 1150 AM in Seattle. Check them out at www.positivetalkradio.net.
Welcome to Global Socialpreneurs, a one-of-a-kind talk show showcasing expert social entrepreneurs. Learn their stories and their secrets to creating a sustainable impact. Now, here is your host, social entrepreneur and SCOTTLIN.
Welcome back. I'm so happy to have you here with us today again on Global Socialpreneurs, a place where we're having a global conversation about what social entrepreneurship means, who needs to know about it, and what kind of impact we can have on social, humanitarian, and environmental issues. This is an exciting show. It's about business, but it's also about social enterprise for profit. And if you've never had a conversation like this, it is very different from a nonprofit conversation, even though there are sometimes some overlaps and sisterhoods that go on with regard to getting the jobs done. But we're really excited to have you here. And thanks for tuning in. You can check us out on globalsocialpreneurs.com. Well, I'm so thrilled to have the guest we have with us today, an incredible person, incredible gentleman, incredible social entrepreneur. His name is Andy Green. He's from the UK. He's a passionate social entrepreneur. He co-founded the Dublin Conversations, which you'll probably hear more about. And he's the director of a social enterprise called Grow Social Capital, which can't think of a better business or industry than that. He believes that sustainable social enterprises need to be the key drivers in creating a more purposeful society. And I'm going to ask him about that too. So Andy loves to write. He's written 6 books. They've translated into 8 languages on purpose, creativity, strategic storytelling, and social capital. And his first book, I will just give this little shout out, Creativity and Public Relations, is an international bestseller for many years and is now in its 4th edition. So please help me welcome Andy. Hi, Andy. So happy to have you here today. How are you?
Very good to speak to you and your audience about this wonderful mission of social entrepreneurship.
That's just wonderful. So you're a social entrepreneur.
Indeed, among many things that keep me busy, both a part-time university lecturer as well as enterprises delivering some form of social good.
Amazing. That's amazing. And what do you find, because I know we have so many things we can talk about, but what do you find about social entrepreneurship that you believe can make a sustainable global impact? What is it about this concept that we're helping to teach people about and help them grow that is so vital to next steps to moving forward in our world?
Well, we're living in a world where both in Europe and the United States, where maybe people are getting a bit frustrated with the political system for creating change. And so realize that actually, if you want to create the world you want, you've got to go out there and do your bit, do it yourself to make that change you want to see out there. And we can do that both as consumers, so we can decide to buy the things that we feel are ethically sound, purposeful, serve a wider social mission, but also in our vocation, our work, in terms of achieving social good through what we do, how we earn our money, and how we work with other people.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you have been in business, you've been in public relations, you have been in so many different kinds of work. Tell us a little bit about when you first started connecting to the concept of social entrepreneurship and why you wanted to be a part of that. What did that look like?
Well, certainly in my work in public relations, it brought me into a wide range of people selling everything from banks to bank beans to areas where I particularly like the areas of regeneration and helping charities, delivering social good in some form. So it was a journey that evolved, and you sort of gravitated towards the bits that you found most rewarding, later realizing about the idea of purpose and how these sort of that work fulfills one's purpose, and going beyond just sort of earning money to achieving something bigger and more profound in what you do.
I love that. I love that. So tell me a little bit more about your business model from the social entrepreneurship side of things. What we're doing is creating a lot more knowledge for people, for our listeners around social entrepreneurship, how to get started, and for social entrepreneurs who are already out there, how can they structure their for-profit business in a really useful way that is the most beneficial to everyone. What would you suggest around how you structure the business model itself?
Well, from my experience, I can share maybe two models. The first is an initiative we call the Dublin Conversations. So we're working in the public relations, marketing, communications industry, and there's a feeling that the industry has been disrupted by technology and need new ways of thinking and doing. And not only that, but also new ways of thinking and doing with purpose and being purposeful at its heart. So we've collaborated, come together with a group from around the world to develop new ideas, new tools for how you do in a new way jobs that were previously labeled as advertising, public relations, and communications. And the business model with employing there is really an adaptation of the freemium business model. So you may be aware the freemium model is you offer certain things for free to build a relationship, and then that then grows into a premium relationship. And what we found is that we live in an age where there is so much free content out there that it's difficult to run a business on offering content. So you then got to go stage further of offering content and process of how you do it. How do you make it happen? And then beyond that then is consultancy and assistance to enable people to get the most of the process and content that you're freely sharing. So our Dublin Conversations model is really based on offering an extensive range of free tools, free ideas, free training program. And then that provides both the content and the process. And then if people want to go a stage further, my other social enterprise, Grow Social Capital, is able to deliver support services, consultancy services using these free assets. So we've got to think harder. We've got to sweat harder in terms of making our knowledge work harder for us, but also knowledge combined with process of how to put that knowledge into practice, how to deliver real world results. So it's a more challenging world and a more demanding one. But if you break up your model, maybe in what we've done here in two ways of offering a free range of information, services and processes, but then a premium offer through the social enterprise, that's maybe a way forward there.
Wow, that's incredible. So, so tell me a little bit more. I'd love to just hear more about your enterprise, Grow Social Capital. So what does that look like, and who can get involved, and what are the services that it offers?
Okay, fine. So the idea, a lot of people are familiar with the word social capital, but from experience, few actually really understand what it's about. And if I can tell a story of how I first sort of came across it, and that I moved to South Wales near Cardiff and a new hometown of Barry in South Wales. And I wanted to make a difference to my community. So I came up with an idea of a community ideas bank. So Anne, like for example, where you live, where do you go if you've got a good idea to make your town or city a better place? You struggle. So the idea was to create an online platform. If you've got an idea to make where you live better, share it on them. And there was some profound unexpected learning in that the idea didn't work. What we found was that an idea by itself is just an idle thought. An idea is only as powerful as the person behind it, and they're only as powerful as the people behind them, which got us onto the idea of social capital. And I really sort of discovered the idea of social capital for an amazing book. You probably read called Bowling Alone by the American sociologist Robert Putnam. Putnam identified that in America, bowling alley attendances were going up, but bowling league team participation was plummeting. So as a metaphor for every aspect of civic and communal life, we're increasingly bowling alone. So as a society, we're not doing the things together that we used to do maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago, whether it's a bowling team, going into a shop even. That, you know, with online trading now, you can avoid having to meet with people, talk with people. And there's a cost to that. Our society is bearing brunt of diminished social contact, a sense of togetherness that fuels polarization, distrust, and it's all come out through, say, 1,001 everyday activities that contribute to us being together. And that sort of asset, what brings us together, is called social capital. And so it's a major issue, but how do you go about addressing it? So a key point really in a business model is really identifying products that you can make tangible, that you can make easily understandable, make bite-sized chunkable in terms of what you offer and how people can engage. Because one challenge social entrepreneurs will face is that they've got a good cause, a passion, but then how do you answer the question, how do I give you money? How can I help you? And you've got to make it easy and digestible for people. So it's about identifying products and activities and then making them what I call bite-sized chunkable, that you can, you know, identify a low entry price, a mid-entry price, and a premium price to get people engaged with you. So as I say, from identifying a big issue of social capital, you've then got to scale it down to like sort of bite-sized chunks of what can be and how people can give you money. And I always think one of the best bits of business advice I've ever come across was actually in a science fiction book, a book by Kurt Vonnegut. I don't know if you've read any of his work, Anne, but in one of his books, there's a character who tells his son, in the future, there's going to be two people giving each other money, and you need to be in the middle of them. And really, that's really sort of the simplest way of understanding business. How is it where you can get in between someone who's got a passion about a subject and then make it easy for them, A, to do something, but then also then identify a suitable price point of product to accompany that going forward. So it's about really sort of translating your passion into bite-sized chunk products.
Wow, I really love that. That's so useful and helpful to all our viewers too. Translating your passion into bite-sized products or services. And I love what you talked about, the idea, because I meet social entrepreneurs or people who would like to become social entrepreneurs all the time who have incredible, as you said, passionate ideas, and yet how they have not quite mastered the art of how to create that into a business model, how to make money, how to market it, how to get it into other people's hands. So the gross social capital, is that partly a community that social entrepreneurs can join?
Partly, as I say, we practice what we preach. So rather than sort of mass broadcasting, you go through relationships. So one of the tools we freely share in the Dublin Conversations is what I call the 12 connectors. So I'm not making a religious point here, but someone 2,000 years ago created a business model with 12 connectors. And the idea then is, who is it out there who, of their own volition, of their own initiative, would advocate you, recommend you, put your name in the frame for opportunities? And really critical to your success is cultivating this raft of connectors. And 12 seems to be a magic number. You look at, say, 12 disciples, 12 disciples, army units tend to have platoons of 12. So I suspect it's a large enough number to create maximum impact, but small enough to maintain quality relationships with. So if you've got a connector, A, they've got to want to connect with you, admire you, respect you, and you've got to make them look good by their recommending you to others. So it's about cultivating relationships where you look to go the extra yard and maintaining that quality of relationship, that they positively advocate for you, be your best unpaid salesperson, best sales evangelist you've got there. So having these sort of social relationships and managing them invest in them and focus on them is really a critical way for business social entrepreneurship success.
That's excellent. I'd like to go back for a second just to what you're talking about, creating for social entrepreneurs, social enterprises, creating a bite-size, basically product or service. Can you give us any examples of people that have been involved with Grow Social Capital, especially around services, because that's a little harder to nail down sometimes, of what that looks like? How did they create something bite-sized that people could help support them in?
So I'll give an example. In the UK, we have water utilities that deliver like the drinking water to your homes and so on. And one of those was very keen on its community involvement. And it wanted to be seen as a good, responsible provider. And one of the Dublin tools is about identifying your values and therefore how to engage people for a much more values-led relationship. So we identified, we created a package of how to create change through a values-led change. And so we had various gradations of offers from £2,000, £5,000, and so on, where you could then engage us to work on a project co-produced with you. And I think that's another critical dimension of social entrepreneurship, is the more you can embrace co-creation, co-production in your relationships with people. So it's not about transactional selling a product, but how do we together create the change that we together want to see in the world? So it's really about identifying the need, identifying where there's the opportunities of two people giving each other money, being in the middle there, and then coming up with an answer. Because far often you meet on social people who are very socially committed, and they have good meetings, they have good, rich encounters. But the other party is saying, well, at the end, what is it exactly you want me to do? What is it? How are you making it easy for me to help you in your mission? And equally recognize that you've got a business, you need an income to be sustainable and viable. And as I say, it's about making it as easy as possible. A golden lesson I've learned in my career is that people don't buy best, they buy least risk. So what ways can you minimize the sense of risk, the sense of anxiety about people making steps? And one dimension of that anxiety is making it as easy, comfortable, and there I go say again, bite-sized, chunkable to do.
That is really wonderful. No, thank you. That's so useful and so practical. And I really appreciate you taking us through that. So your primary social entrepreneurship activity right now is engaging in that business in Grow Social Capital, or are you also doing something else?
Well, it's Grow Social Capital in tandem with the Dublin Conversations.
Perfect.
So a mission going forward is really about we need a more purposeful society.
Mm-hmm.
But how can you, I, or anyone be more purposeful?
Mm-hmm.
So we've created a Discover Your Purpose program where through a series of 3 key steps, you can quickly identify some critical challenges of who am I? What is my character? And what is my role in life? What is my purpose? And being purposeful. So we distinguish between purpose and purposeful. Purpose is what is your role, what you do. Purposeful is how you help other people. And so we've got a program there we're looking to expand upon significantly going ahead, of how do you make it easy to identify your purpose and be purposeful. And that can be then identified at an individual level, at a team, organizational, community level. And as I say, we're freely providing the process and tools, and where the entrepreneurship comes in, if people then want the more premium support service, the individual TLC and care to help people go forward there.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow. So you just had a Dublin Conversations event in the last several weeks, didn't you?
That's right. We had a delightful weekend away in Sligo on the west coast of Ireland, where we brought people from around the United States, Canada, the UK and Ireland together. And it really also provided another dimension to products and services that you're finding that we've been very much an online based. We very much grew during the lockdown. and that's shaped and molding directors to be online. But also then if you can extend with face-to-face and engagement that way, offer, again, something that combines both social good and pleasure and leisure and enjoying yourself. And certainly Sligo on the west coast of Ireland has many, many attractions and pleasures. So it was a sort of a win-win-win. And that's very much what we're very keen about to promote, that many people might be familiar with like win-win thinking, where you seek to win, the other party seeks to win as well. But win-win-win is where not only you succeed, the other succeed, but the wider world succeeds. So it's very much a sort of a philosophy, a modus operandi that drives us in everything we do there.
I love that. I love that. And I've done several of your worksheets and activities from Dublin Conversations about purpose. Super insightful. I loved going through that extra long list on purpose. And I actually did it twice. I went through the whole thing twice. I did it once just for myself personally to narrow down purpose. Because, you know, over time, your purpose shifts. So even if I've done this in the past, I always like to do it again. And then I did it a second time specifically for my business and for global socialpreneurs, which is what are the key values, what is the key purpose, and really kind of nailing that down and identifying that, because that creates so much more momentum and energy around what you're trying to accomplish. And I love that so much of what you do is about bringing people together, as you've said, collaboration, sharing, and the same here with global socialpreneurs. You know, it's about sharing these conversations all over the world, getting people on every walk of life engaged in these conversations. It's also about creating community online where we can come together for, you know, just our group visits in the Socialpreneur Forum, getting inspired by people who are building new social entrepreneurships. Those have been established for a long time. Hearing encouraging stories, learning tricks of the trade. And even in our mastermind groups and so on. So the idea of bringing community together, this is what I've been passionate about for a really long time, because obviously there's some very well-established social entrepreneurship groups in the world, but they're kind of, in some ways, not constantly branching out into new environments. They become kind of a little bit static. You've got the big fish, and you know it's just not quite as accessible as I think it could be. And so that's a lot of what we're trying to do here, is making it accessible to everyone, and also just informing people about what it is so that they can say, oh, I can be a social entrepreneur. I can create a new business that solves a social problem for profit. Or I can take an existing business and even pivot it into a social enterprise. There's ways to go about doing that. I know it's different in the legal terms, whether you're in the UK or the US, but there's ways to do that and to pivot. And then finding other people that share your passion, who you can collaborate with, partnership with. So it's just really exciting to see, you know, other people like yourself also committed to bringing people together to create this change. What are some of the changes you've seen over the years, or an example of some of the changes you've seen either in one of your organizations or in one of the clients that you've been working with, where they have found ways to bring these pieces together?
Well, I find that it's a marvelous agency for change. I have a saying that you have a wave at a stadium, and you can't create a wave by yourself. So it's fundamental about collaboration. And often it's the small scale things as much as the larger scale things that you know, excite. So it's someone that only this weekend they were telling me they had imposter syndrome, and then through helping, supporting, they've got a new lease of life, new direction. I've unlocked the cage that previously bound them. So it's that sort of many small dimensions. And the other dimension critical is that in creating change, it's not about you changing other people, but you together changing. So I had a marvelous experience this afternoon just coaching someone, and we both came away bigger people as a result. So I think that's that sort of a change for 1,001 different steps, through small steps, as opposed to like the big sweeping radical idea. There's a myth that if you invent the ultimate mousetrap, the world beats a path to your door. It doesn't work like that. So it's about really, as I say, make that communities. I can't stress that enough about 1 + 1 = 3. The synergies from creating, coming together is so profound and important. And it sounds, Anne, like you're doing a brilliant job there.
Oh, thank you. And I loved what you said too about, as social entrepreneurs, and the advice that you were given in the past about or in the book, right? That you were reading, two people, for the sun to get between two people who are going to be exchanging money. Like, how can you make yourself useful? Because I think one of the things that slows down a lot of social entrepreneurs, especially when they're new or investigating it, is finances, obviously, as we all know, because they're building it from sort of a one-person entrepreneurship or solopreneurship viewpoint, as opposed to where can I take what I'm passionate about and the skill set that I have and interject that into a space that could use those skills in an existing sphere, in an existing network, in existing partnerships, business programs, collaborations. I think that's a huge secret to helping the especially newer social entrepreneurs find success faster. Because if you're just on your own and you're just on your own dollar, all of us often start out that way a bit, but it wears thin pretty quick. So becoming part of a bigger project, a bigger program, is often such a better way to go, and quite honestly, a lot more fun. At least for me, I've always found. I'm a self-starter. I like working for myself, but I also have way more fun when I'm working with other people and collaborating on projects, and that always makes it a little bit more exciting. So, so Andy,
let's just add there, Anne. Sorry, it's not just the combining with other people. I'm a great believer in the phrase that your future's already here. And the future's already here. It's just unevenly distributed. So you're not only connecting with someone who may add a resource to you, but they've probably made the mistake that help you avoid doing that and learn from each other and grow from each other. So I can't stress that enough, that what you're doing and the need to collaborate and be part of a community is so critical in overcoming those very, very difficult challenges of how do you launch your spaceship to get into orbit and sustain it for a successful future.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. So Andy, tell us, what is your vision for the future and for going forward, both yourself and even in the arena of this whole conversation of social entrepreneurship as a movement, as a growth? What do you foresee? What are you excited about in coming days, months, weeks, years?
It's very much about, bringing alive and realizing the potential, and also being open that to some extent every day is a fresh surprise, and just be open and say yes, rather than sort of a danger of saying no, I haven't got time, is there a risk, and just go for it. So I'm very excited about the immediate and the medium and long-term future of connecting, making having these sort of conversations, and just saying yes and being supportive, and being the good person that you can be to help others.
I love that. And just following up, one last question around what you said, like the potential that it has. In the big view, where do you see the growth of this mindset, social entrepreneurship, collaboration? Where do you see this leading us? How could it change our world significantly as we move forward, even in the next decade?
Well, we faced two really sort of scenario ranging from a lot of negativity, a lot of polarization, a lot of social division, and on the other hand, a better future away from that. So I think by investing in social entrepreneurship, investing in your purpose, being purposeful as possible, you're doing the best agent you can in the world around you. So the world's a better place for you, having trod its way. So, and also I'm a profound believer that you've got to sort of work where lines of least resistance. So there's a marvelous work by a sociologist, Nicholas Christakis, his book Blueprint, where he highlights that 2 out of 3 people will help a stranger, which also means that 1 out of 3 don't. So it's really about focusing your energy. Don't waste your time trying to persuade the 1 out of 3 to adopt what I call we-led thinking, but be alert, sensitive, and quick to adapt and focus along lines of least resistance, lines of maximum people saying yes, and be alert and sensitive and dynamic to that, as opposed to sort of frustratingly banging your head against a brick wall of an immovable object.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's such good advice and such a great vision. And I encourage our viewers to check out more on the website. Check out Dublin Conversations. One of the big challenges that many social entrepreneurs face is they have an idea and they want to take it forward, but they don't necessarily examine the vision and build it like a business from the beginning. So a great place to start is checking out some of the tools, most of them free, that Andy and his team have created. Amazing, all free tools that you can use to kind of identify where you want your business to go, what the purpose is. We say it's better to fail sooner than later, because then you can say, all right, I can't sell pencils, but I can sell pens. You can pivot just enough, but as opposed to ordering, 100 million pencils that you never can sell, right? So finding the niche, doing the research, building the business plan makes such a big difference. And he has so many really helpful tools there for you. Well, Andy, our time just flew by. It's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for being here.
A delight to speak to Anne and your community, and good speed with whatever you're doing.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you, our viewers and listeners today, for joining us. So we stream live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. That is 12 p.m. Eastern, and usually 5 GMT. I know there's been some time changes, so
I'll be around then.
But yes, please feel free to check us out. And if you're watching this, please share this so you can help other individuals and other social entrepreneurs find this show, learn about it, find how they can get involved and really make an impact and a difference in the world. As always, be kind to those around you today and be kind to yourself. See you next time. Bye.